June 1, 2009. A routine flight from Rio de Janeiro to Paris disappears over the Atlantic Ocean. No distress call. No warning. 228 passengers and crew gone. This is the story of Air France Flight 447. And how a frozen sensor, confusion in the cockpit, and human error led to one of the deadliest air disasters in history. It began like any other overnight transatlantic journey. Air France Flight 447, an Airbus A330-200, departed Rio at 7:29 p.m. local time. On board, 216 passengers and 12 crew. Captain Marc Dubois, with over 11,000 flight hours, was in command. But during the night, he left the cockpit for a rest break, leaving two less experienced co-pilots at the controls. As the aircraft cruised at 35,000 feet over the Atlantic, it entered an area known as the Intertropical Convergence Zone, a region infamous for intense storms, turbulence, and towering cloud formations. Inside these clouds, ice crystals began to form on the aircraft's sensors, particularly the pitot tubes, which measure airspeed. Suddenly, the autopilot disengaged. Warning tones blared. The flight instruments, normally smooth and precise, began displaying conflicting data. The airspeed readings dropped to zero. And the aircraft was now in the hands of the two co-pilots, manually. In the chaos, First Officer Bonin pulled back on the side stick, attempting to climb. But at high altitude, pulling up reduces airspeed even more, and risks an aerodynamic stall. For 54 long seconds, no one recognized the aircraft was stalling. The plane began to shudder. The stall warning triggered repeatedly. Still, Bonin kept pulling back. By the time the captain returned to the cockpit, the aircraft had already lost more than 10,000 feet of altitude. The crew's confusion only deepened. They never leveled the nose. Never pushed forward to recover. The aircraft remained stalled for 3.5 minutes. Falling through the night sky like a stone. At 2:14 a.m. UTC, all contact was lost. AF 447 vanished from radar without a single emergency transmission. Days later, pieces of the aircraft, seat cushions, debris, bodies, began to wash up in the Atlantic. But the main wreckage and flight recorders wouldn't be found for another 2 years. Nearly 13,000 feet below the surface. When investigators finally recovered the black boxes in 2011, what they heard shocked the world. The aircraft was perfectly airworthy. The engines were running. All systems, except for the iced pitot tubes, were functional. The crash was not due to failure, but misinterpretation. A single faulty reading caused a chain of errors that none of the pilots managed to stop. In the words of investigators, the crew never understood they were stalling. Air France 447 changed aviation forever. Manual flying skills were re-emphasized. Training shifted from trust in technology to understanding it. 228 lives were lost. But their legacy became a turning point in how we fly today. Subscribe to SMEAR for more such content.